my goodness.
Y'all got me stressed out, man. So, first of all, congratulations on the work that you did, man. You did a great job. I really mean that. A great
Thank you,
job.
thank you,
Yep.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
And as I and others have said, we plan to see you again in the future. What's going on? What is going on right now? Tell me, please.
Well, Tennessee and our nation, they spoke, and they spoke loud and clear about how they want to be governed and who they trust.
Do you understand that our nation is literally like split down the middle? You get
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Like,
and you know what, I've been thinking since. It's amazing when you stay up all night watching the results, how
yeah,
much thinking you actually get done. And just thinking about that, how we have become a nation that is visibly split.
yeah,
It's visible now. It's not just this imagination in our head where we think it's that way. It
yeah,
is visible. And I think
yeah.
that is the more um, challenging thing for all of us, that it's visible. We
hmm
can see it. Um,
You
so
know, particularly when you look at the popular vote, it's almost, with just a few percentages, it's almost 50-50.
yeah.
um and I was listening to Michael Steele on MSNBC not long ago, about the lawsuit stuff, and he was saying that basically, um you know as far as he's concerned, it's like throwing spaghetti up against the wall and hoping it sticks, and hoping that there's a judge somewhere sleeping on the job that will even, because honestly, the path to victory for Biden is not necessarily through Pennsylvania.
And I was thinking about that today as well. A lot of his strategists were Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking about how they put that together, letting him know, no, you need to be in Nevada. It's Nevada. It's Wisconsin. Pennsylvania is gravy. Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
gravy. Texas,
Mm-hmm.
gravy. Florida, all those things are gravy. But
Mm-hmm.
let's keep our eye on how to make it to 270.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the strategy that they put together just worked.
Mm-hmm.
It gave him two different paths to get there. He could go one way or another way. So I am excited about just the amount of strategy that they did, and to see it hopefully come to fruition, because we don't want to say he won until he won.
Absolutely, but I just don't think it's going to be that easy. I really don't. One of my Facebook friends said today, and she said, I think what I've been saying is confirmed, is that if Biden didn't just take all the states, all the key states, they weren't going to accept the win. Um, I'm just disappointed, with the process. I'm disappointed more so that there are some people in this world that are okay with it, right? And when I say the process, I don't mean the voting process. I mean the tricks of the trade, and all the things that they're doing, and that there are people that think it's okay.
Yeah, when we think about it, the surreal part of all of this is that it was close.
Yes.
How can it be
Yes.
close if you look at everything that has happened under this administration? People have died because you didn't take care of the basic thing, like, asking people to wear a mask.
Mhm.
Um, our soldiers and our wounded and our veterans and everybody have been maligned.
Mhm.
Different races have been maligned.
Mhm.
Women have been maligned,
Mhm.
and it's close.
Mhm.
So that gives us a view and a peep into the what America and our nation
Yeah, I
values.
agree. I agree. John Meacham, one of the historians, brought up a good point this morning, and he was saying that there's been a lot of talk about the Democrats need to learn how to talk to and appeal to, the Trump support, to the other side. I'll say to the, to the Republicans, and he said, but um, not only that, the Trump supporters need to learn how to listen. We need to learn how to listen to each other because we are a much better America if we realize that we are in a covenant together with each other, right? Because I'm telling you, this is not going to be, I don't know what folks think, but this is not going to be your typical, civil rights kind of movement kind of stuff where folks are going to be okay with being sprayed and turning the other cheek and the dogs sicking the dogs on you, and that's not what's happening.
Well, the one thing that every people needs to remember is that we are our ancestors.
Mm.
And our ancestors, you and I, our ancestors, we went through a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
we came out on the other side. The
Mm-hmm.
ones that are here now, the Black Americans, the descendants of slaves that are here now, we made it because our ancestors and elders were the strongest of the
Mm-hmm.
ones to
Mm-hmm.
survive. And
Mm-hmm.
so we can make it, but I think that not only does everyone need to understand that we all are born with the history, we all
Mm-hmm.
are born, we all live through our lives, and we have a past,
Mm-hmm.
but we also all have a future. And I
Mm-hmm.
think when people in America come to the realization that, and it's going to sound so cliche, and it's been said quite often, but
Mm-hmm.
there is more that binds us than that separates us. There are only like three or four issues that really separate us as
Right.
Americans. the
Right.
things the things that bring us together are: how are we going to make sure that our kids get a good education? How are we going to make sure we can make it to the doctor? How are we going to make sure that we can survive to
Mm-hmm.
the next day? It's those things we talk about at our kitchen table
Mm-hmm.
that binds us together. And when we all began to focus on that, what is this elected person going to do to really affect my life? How are they going to raise my taxes or decrease my taxes? How are they going to help me get this road paved? How are they going to help me build a new school building? How are they going to make sure that the qualifications to get into college, you understand what I'm saying? Those
I
things that
know.
we really think about, and not just those ideological things that we just want to have an idea and have a standing about.
Well, an extension of that, and maybe a little bit of a flip on that too, is, I was thinking earlier today, man, or last night actually, when the results started coming in, and I was thinking, man, I wonder what it's like, to be on the side of the table where you really don't care one way or the other. What the results are, because you're in a position to just be fine no matter what, right? You're in a position where your kids are going to be fine no matter what. You're in a position where your mother or whoever the elderly person is going to be fine. They will get their meds no matter what, because you can do that. You got it like that. you
Yeah.
know I've just never been in that position where it didn't matter one way or the other. These things matter. And as we were saying on last week's show, you don't just vote for you. You vote for a whole lot of other folks. And it's most of the time it is the other folks. I had a friend one time that was trying to distinguish between two candidates in a race, in a state race. This has been some years ago, and he was saying, "Well, I really don't know who to vote for." And I said, "Well, if you care anything about me, you'll vote for such and such." And I said, and he laughed and he said, "What do you mean?" And I broke it down to him, like, what will happen for my life if this person wins versus what will or won't happen for my life if this person doesn't win. He said, "I never really thought about it." I said, "And see, you're going to be fine no matter what,
Mhm.
because whether people want to accept it or not, privilege is real. It's real." So, what do you think about President Trump declaring a win? What do you think about that?
Well, I've come to the realization that, people are just people.
Mm-hmm.
And our personalities are our personalities, and what we believe is just what we believe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are the person who needs to win, then
Mm-hmm.
you'll say pretty much whatever it is that will give you that feeling to win.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine being the person to, you know dissect how he's feeling and what he's
Yeah.
doing. And I just know that votes matter.
Mm-hmm.
The votes will tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And prayerfully, our nation will move to the point where numbers don't lie.
Mm.
A fact is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how much I say it's true, it doesn't make it true.
It's interesting though, if we were to stop counting at this point, Biden would be a winner.
Yes, that's right. So the person that's complaining would not be victorious. So
Right.
I don't get it, other than I just believe that there are seeds being sown
Mm-hmm.
that will, once they're sown, they can be watered and will grow up into divisive ideas and thoughts.
Mm.
And me, for one, I'm just, we don't agree on everything, and no one said that we had to,
Oh.
but we should just agree on numbers and facts.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can interpret, the fact. I could say it's red and you can say it's pink, but, we're still in the same vicinity of
So,
truth.
right.
So I'm just saying, I'm ready for truth to stand and for truth to be real, and I'm also ready for the conversation that we get to have with our neighbors, even though we may have voted differently.
Yeah.
I'm excited to say, okay, now this is what you voted for. Now
Uh-huh.
let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Because see,
wow.
I'm the one. I can sit there and I talk to you and you see where
Well,
you are.
I heard one of the college professors asking that question this morning, what were the people that voted for Trump voting for? What were they voting for? Some tend to think that most of those people are voting their money. It's about their money. I don't have that problem, so I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know anything about that. But I think the Hispanic and the African American male population vote was an interesting touch. And I wonder, I just can't even process it and break it down like where that comes from.
I have, that has been, other than it being a man thing,
Yeah.
voting for the man and the men.
Uh-huh.
I haven't asked any man who voted
Mm-hmm.
Republican that question. But
Mm-hmm.
when instead, my thought has been, like you said earlier, not necessarily what you were voting for, but what are you voting against? So if
Mm.
you voted for him, in my mind, you're voting against me because he
Mm-hmm.
had no respect for me, my person, my children, my husband, uh, and everything that comes with me
But
being a black woman.
that's not a Trump supporter's take on it. They do not see
Yeah.
him as racist. I don't know how many times I've heard, um, now he's an idiot, but he's not racist. I mean, I've heard his supporters say that, you know.
Well, we can only take him at his word.
There you go.
We can only take him at his word. So I know that I don't, I know that he decided that Democratic cities, and most of those Democratic cities were heavily populated with Black folk,
Mm-hmm.
were not worthy of help.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he called African countries who are, when we look at Africa, there are a lot of different ethnicities
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
But when I think of Africa, I think of the Black African, the darker complected African, and he had something negative to say about them. So I don't ascribe, I don't know if he's racist or not. All I'm saying is his policies, and then taking away diversity training. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that is against me. So as a Black person, and then his thoughts about women. So I can't ascribe any adjective to him, but I can look at his policies and what he's followed and what he's advocated for and say that's against me.
Well, you're so classy. I have adjectives. You know, back, I do.
You're gonna unpack your adjectives.
Yeah. Back,
That's your adverb.
listen, back in 2016, when he thought Hillary had won, and he
Yeah,
was saying the election was rigged, and then he won the electoral college vote, and then it wasn't rigged anymore.
right.
The whole idea of rigged just went away. Um, those kind of things, those kind of blatant things, the blatant lies. I think I saw the other day where he had tweeted something about, oh, there's no need to play games. If it's a win, it's a win. I don't know how he put it. But here we are playing the games. You know, how can folks be so comfortable with those ideologies and those, how can they be so comfortable with it? I mean, like, we've had Republican presidents that I've actually appreciated some of their, policies or platforms or what have you. Maybe it wasn't who I voted for, but it wasn't, they didn't make the world just, terrible to wake up and live in. You
Uh-huh.
know, this is a blatant divide, right, by our leader, because that's what happens, when you got leaders and followers. You can see the followers are reflected in the leaders and vice versa, and you can tell that there are people that have had certain perceptions about other people of other ethnicities, other races, other whatever. But they felt compelled to at least tuck it away and not be so open about it. And he has created an America that has said, you know what, this is how I feel, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this is how I feel, or I'm gonna treat people this way because it's how I feel. And I'm concerned about that. It's not just that it ticks me off as a human being, and because I know it doesn't feel good and it's not right. It's not just that. It's also that I know what it can prompt, okay? And what it can cause in this world, because everybody don't think like you. Everybody don't think like me. No, seriously.
Right,
You know,
right.
and I'm afraid that we may be headed for some really turbulent times.
Well, I'm reminded of the stories that my mama used to tell me
Mhm.
about how it was, before you and I were born, and then when we
Mhm.
were young.
Mhm.
And when I thought about her stories, I didn't believe half of them because I'm like, Mama, for real? No, they didn't do that.
Mhm.
I believe my mama, but
Yeah, I know. I know.
yeah. But when we think about where our country has come from, there is nothing that keeps us from going back. There is nothing. The only thing that really holds us from repeating some of the things that we've had in our history that proved to be negative
Mhm.
is our leaders who on purpose
Mhm.
decided they were not going to take us down these roads, that
Mhm.
they were on purpose not going to agitate any situation, that they were on purpose going
Mhm.
to cause us to be a nation that came together and not tear ourselves apart.
Yeah.
And if we don't have leaders who are on purpose being leaders, making sure that America is an America that is full of 50 states, that is occupied by millions of people who all have one goal. And that
Mhm.
goal is that we are represented as we the people.
Mhm.
Then anything can happen in our country. So I believe that we all allow our president and our leaders to have that bit of, we lend them our confidence
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to do that. And
Yeah.
when that doesn't happen, I don't think we know how to react to that. It's amazing. It's frightening. It's unnerving when
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
because in my 54 years, these last four have been like nothing I've never seen. Like you said, every president has gotten respect from me because you earned that office. So I'm gonna stand when you walk in the room.
Man,
I'm
when people take that away from you, you
yeah,
can't even respect the office anymore.
yeah.
You know what's left? And this my son said, who voted for Kanye? Y'all stand up.
60,000 people.
Y'all stand up. Who y'all?
Put
Who
your
y'all?
name in the
Y'all
chat.
stand up.
Put your name in the chat and let us know who you are. And then I want to know why. Was it just a protest vote? Because some people could have
Yes,
just
it
it
was.
could have
It
been a
had to
protest
be.
vote. But it could have been a protest vote. So that's what I'm saying. They just didn't want to
Ah,
vote for either one. So they just said, I'm gonna click Kanye.
somebody said if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
It must have been a duck. But I think that I do believe that our country needs to be about the process of healing and
Mm,
learn how to move through our differences, because no one wants to put down what gets them, what they're thinking about, what they
mhm,
believe needs to happen. And I
mhm,
just pray that, if Biden is successful, which we believe he will be, that our country will come together. And all the crazy stuff on Facebook and Twitter, it's one thing to say, look, that was a crazy law you just passed, you didn't take care of this person. I'm ready to get back to debate. I'm
mhm,
ready to have the Congress come together and say, nope, that was crazy. We're going to add this. We're going to take that out. We're going to
mhm.
do this. We're going to do that. And then have a president stand up there and say, this is what I support. This is the plan. This is how we're going to move America forward. I am so looking forward to debate.
And
And
when you think, we're still, we probably won't, we as in Democrats won't gain the Senate. Mitch McConnell said his remark was, he's going to try to make sure that there wasn't but one um, Barack Obama. You know, I just, yeah, it's stuff like that, yeah, you just sigh to keep from, I'm telling you because I just wish the one thing that I can say, I mean, sometimes I feel as a Democrat, and I'm openly saying that I am, and that I wish people across the party lines could, when we win or when we whatever, just say, hey, congratulations, or hey, it is what it is. It's,
yeah,
we didn't get out there and do what do we do when we don't win? We start fussing at our folks about y'all didn't get out there and vote, whatever, right? But it's
yeah.
always got to be something in the game, a trick in the game when we just outright win. And sometimes as a Democrat, I get a little mad when we don't, I hate to say fight dirty, but I don't know any other way to say it. When we don't just learn how to fight too, because that's the one thing we won't do. That's the one thing we won't do. And, I'm not even trying to, I'm certainly not trying to condone wrong. And so in that same vein, I say, I know it's not necessarily right to fight dirty, but, what do we have if we don't? I mean, because that's what we're always fighting against. Dirt. It's the dirty stuff. It's the trickery.
I think that it's not about fighting.
Mm-hmm.
It is about being a loud Democrat, though. A lot of times when things happen in our country, it's who has the ear of the people,
Mm-hmm.
who is doing the talking, how
Mm-hmm.
are they defending their position.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that a lot of times, as Democrats, we don't defend our position loud enough. You know, we know how to write a bill, we know how to pass laws, we know how to do all that, but we don't defend the position loudly. When
Mhm.
I was running, one of the things I should tell the young people, because I had like 7 or 8 college kids who were helping me on my campaign,
Mhm.
and they would be talking, and I was like, no, y'all got to be loud. You know, you're our next generation. Don't just sit and give me these things to say. I'm gonna need y'all to be loud. I'm gonna need you to
Mhm.
walk in a room and let people know that you have a thought, you have a way, a pathway to get to a thing, and be loud about it. Let
Mhm.
everybody know this is where you stand.
Mhm.
This is what we need to do. But you know,
Mhm.
I find that we as Democrats, and it kind of started with, you remember when Obama was president, he didn't like take even the Affordable Care Act and be loud about it. You know, it kind of just
Yeah,
passed. You know, it kind of just
that's
went
kind of
through.
what I was thinking about. You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
yeah,
you know, we're always so forgiving and just
yeah.
so passive and just so, and I'm tired of it. So you can call it loud, I'll call it fighting, but I'm ready to do some of it.
Well, I just believe I just need we need to be loud, and we need to stop being undercover Democrats. I think a lot of times we're kind of hidden in the shadows, and we don't want people to know what we stand for, and you know who we're for and what we're against, and we let other people have our narrative. And I've learned that
Mm-hmm.
being a black woman, you know, we've allowed other people to tell our history, we've allowed other people to tell us how we ought to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that to be true when it comes to politics and being a Democrat. It's just time for us to own our own narrative, put it out there, and stand on it. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready to stand. I don't want to be mealy mouthed. I don't want to appear weak. I want to stand and say loudly and proudly, yes, I'm a Democrat. And this is what I believe. I believe that our children should be able to go to school and be there safely. I believe that
Quality
everybody needs to,
schools, quality
yes,
schools.
well, they can, and have them well funded. Stop doing all that other crazy stuff.
That's
Let's
where
get
the
our,
quality comes from. Because if they're
yes,
well funded, you can pay your teachers well,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
You can have good resources,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and part of those I consider people resources when it comes
Yes,
to educating our children.
they're
You
called
know, so
human
yeah,
resources for a
yeah.
reason, right?
Mhm.
And then we have to think about living wage jobs. If people have a way to make a living and can pay their bills,
Mhm.
then they can now take part in all the other great things that we have in this country. So I'm just saying, don't get bogged down in what other people want you to talk about. We need to be
Mhm.
about what we want to be about. And
Mhm.
I'm about making sure our kids go to school, making sure people can have some health care. You know, if we're gonna be about it, let's be about it and stop talking about it and start walking some of this stuff out.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, you know. We've just, and I mean, and as a people we're that way too. I mean, just as in our culture we're that way. And Lord knows, I know God expects me as a Christian to forgive, you
Yeah,
know. But man, it's a
yeah,
loophole somewhere about some of this stuff that's going on. It's not joking now. You know, enough is enough, and it really is. And this is just absolutely unheard of. I mean, what we've gone through. I posted today. Why is it that we're okay, you know, with the thought of badgering folks about abortion, but then you get mad if somebody wants you to wear a mask because it may save a life. You know, this stuff is so twisted.
yeah,
It's just not even funny.
yeah. Well, once again we've allowed others to have that narrative. And I remember when I was,
What should our narrative? What's our narrative that we forfeited? What have we forfeited as our narrative?
well, we allowed the conversation to be about abortion, guns, and religious freedoms, and those things are not at my kitchen table. I don't talk
Mm,
about abortion every day. I don't talk about my religious freedom every day, and I definitely don't talk about guns every day. I ain't got nothing against a gun. All of my
me either. Let me just insert right here before you finish that. I have a few. I love to shoot.
That's it.
I'm a really good shot.
That's all I'm saying.
On a friend of mine the other day, I'm telling you, I'm probably not gonna miss. So I really hope
Those,
stuff is not gonna happen because I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm one of them women that's got one and not scared to use it. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm being silly.
But that's not the conversation. That's not what I talk about around my kitchen table. I got 8 kids. I need all of them to have a job. I need my grandkids to get an education. I need my mom-in-law to be able to go to the hospital if
Mm,
something go wrong with her.
mhm,
I
mhm,
need my husband to be able to do whatever he want to do, provide, retire,
mhm,
whatever. These are the things that I talk about around my kitchen table. And those are the things that I believe that Democrats have an answer to. How
mhm,
to have a living wage and all of that. But when we allow the conversation to become about abortion and guns and religious freedoms, I'm a Christian too. I love the Lord. And please don't make me have to worship any way that you want me to,
mhm,
follow anybody other than Jesus Christ. But when
mhm,
it comes to being safe, then I'm thankful that my church closed its doors until they figured out how they could be in a room with some mask and the
mhm,
singers got the shields and
mhm,
and all that. I'm
mhm,
thankful
mhm,
that the pastor decided that nope, we're gonna close these doors until we get all this under control and we
mhm,
know how to handle it. So when you talk about my religious freedom, we all have freedom.
mhm.
You can worship how you want to worship. And the last time I checked, I was the temple. I made the church. I
Mm.
am the church. And when I get together with like people, like minded people, then we become worshipers together. But I don't have to be in a building. I would like to, because it's
Of
just something
course.
about being
Yeah,
together.
I miss it too. But
Yeah.
not so much that I want to die, that
No.
I'm willing to
Mm-mm.
die,
Yeah.
for it.
And see, and the other thing about COVID-19, and I made it a large part of my run. I know what it's doing to my community.
Hmm.
My brother has a funeral home.
Yeah,
I know how many. There are people who have passed away, and we're not sure if it was COVID. So I'm not saying that. I don't know
absolutely.
how, but I know that there have been funerals of people that I know that were my age. That I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my God, what happened?
Right.
And so, and I don't ask families that. I just know that these people
Yeah, but
passed
it's
away.
so many mystery deaths. I mean, just people that seemingly were fine and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
And I know that it's affecting my community more than it's affecting other communities. So
Hmm.
that's a real thing for me. And so for people to say, "Oh, we don't care about a mask," I'm like, "Well, shucks, I don't like it either. I like smiling. You can't see my smile behind this mask."
Yeah.
So but I'm going to wear it. I got an 83-year-old mother-in-law. I got little
Hmm.
babies in this house, so just do the doggone thing so we can move past COVID-19, and
Yeah.
my boys in college can actually have a college life and not have to be
Yes.
set.
Experience college.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have a freshman and he's like, "Mom, this college thing." I was like, "Baby, I am so sorry. You're there during
This is
COVID.
not how it's supposed to be.
It is not how it's supposed to be."
Hmm.
That group of kids who graduated this year were born when the towers fell, and they graduated during a pandemic. Now,
Hmm.
that's the generation that we need to be talking to. How
Hmm.
do you feel? How do you think we should move our country forward?
Hmm.
What do you see for your future?
Hmm.
And then, if people my age, your age, get together with these young people, we
Hmm.
can figure out some stuff. But
Yeah.
we can't do it in a vacuum. It can't be all the 50 and 60-year-olds making all the decisions without the input of the 18 to 25-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to leave anybody out, but everybody
I
got to
get
talk
it.
to everybody so that we can have a plan and we
Hmm.
can move forward. But we got to stop having the narrative that's so loud that we can't hear anything else. And then we can start voting for our kitchen table issues and not uh, things that aren't on our kitchen table daily.
Did you expect something different? We've experienced the George Floyds and the Breonna Taylors, and we've experienced quite a bit of this stuff during the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
And particularly surrounding the George Floyd incident, there seemingly was this coming together,
yeah,
just the nation coming together, and people, of other races and ethnicities saying this is just wrong. as a result of that, did you expect something different in this race?
No,
In this presidential race? You did
no,
not? I
no.
did. They fooled me really, really good. Like really good. I was like
I did
I
not.
was like, I saw a Trump supporter say yesterday, early yesterday, I predict a landslide, win. And I was like,
No,
buddy, no,
no.
no, 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 because we came together. We came together in a different way than what we'd ever come together before. And I thought I was going to see something different. And I'm like you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't think it was going to be. Okay, let me say this. I did believe there would be some togetherness,
Mm-hmm.
but a landslide, no, no.
Mm.
I never thought that. No.
So, so I'm like you. I know what if someone were to ask me, what were you voting for?
Mhm.
I know I had my grandbabies in
Mhm.
mind. I know I had my children in mind. I think I voted more for other people than I did myself. But then on the other hand, there may be some things that I may benefit from as a result. But for the most part, I was thinking about this pandemic, how susceptible our folks are to it, my parents' ages, and they have to get out and go to the store and do the things that they, attend to their needs.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, the world in which my grandbabies will grow up in. I was thinking about my son that looks like me
Mhm.
and the kinds of things that, he would tend to experience and has experienced. I mean, like I have horror stories as a single mom, some things that have happened to my child. And you know, I know what I voted for. And I believe, as you say, just regular kitchen table stuff that you would talk about with your family, concerns that you would have with your family. And I would just want to know, like, what did people vote for that voted for Trump? I asked that again, like, what were they thinking? Because if it was, something like, oh, for my 401k or and I mean, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but if that was more important to you, right,
Right.
than a life or a child's education or things that really should matter in this world.
Well, once again, now I was a candidate. So, what I heard was people were going to vote a straight Republican ticket because of abortion,
Mm-hmm.
because of gun rights, the Second Amendment, and because of religious
Hold
freedoms.
up,
And
hold up, hold up. Let's go
yeah,
back to the gun rights, the
yeah,
Second Amendment.
yeah.
What is it about? What is it about where we are right now with the Second Amendment that freaks people out so? I've just
You
never
know,
understood it. Like I'm just really genuinely want to know what it is because I thought everybody had a right to get a permit and whatever. What is it?
well, now, as you know, Democrats are all about having stricter background checks, making sure certain people can't get, the right to carry.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite honestly could not get an answer. I didn't delve enough into the question about the guns. I just told them, what are your three things?
Because I
And
thought
those were the three things the third thing was religious freedoms. And they appreciated the embassy being moved to Jerusalem. And so these are just the answers that I got. And so, and then people were just against a Democrat, you know.
that's what I'm talking about right there. You see, I want to talk about that. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they were just against a Democrat,
Like
because
we're socialists and oh my God, just all this
yeah,
crazy stuff when
mhm,
just have a conversation.
yeah. And in my campaign, I had a lot of conversations, and people, I would vote for you, but you're a Democrat,
Mm-hmm.
things like that, because I talk to people who, were like you and I, got some kitchen table stuff going on. I talked to returning citizens, those felons who wanted their voting rights back, So,
Mhm.
I talked to grandmas who were worried about their grandkids, so that's pretty much who I, talk to,
Yeah.
people like that who needed a job, who were tired of working at Burger King and
Mm.
wanted a better job,
And didn't want to
to,
work 5 jobs just to try to make ends look at each other. See,
right.
people that don't know what that is like,
Yeah.
and I know people. I literally know people that all they do is work
Mm-hmm.
just to provide for their families. They don't do anything else. I mean, the things that we enjoy, the luxuries that we enjoy in life, might like maybe just going out to dinner with your family. They can't do that because they got to work.
That's it.
They're
And
always on a shift.
yeah, they're always on a shift and always looking for another shift.
What?
And yeah. So, those are the people that I talk to. So when we think about, and like I said, I didn't, what someone should do is a survey of what, especially Tennesseans, what is it that they voted for? I don't know. I can only speak about the people that I personally talked to. But even on the abortion issue, when I really started talking to them, I was like, well, what if it was your wife, and having the baby would, she wouldn't be with you anymore? And they were like, well, now that's different. I was like, but no, that's not what's being supported in our legislature. Well, what about rape and incest? Well, that's different. I said, yeah, but that's not what our legislators are saying. So, if you really take the time to listen to people, I think we'll find out that I'm telling you, we are closer. We are closer than we are apart. I'm telling you, we are. We just have to figure out how to cross that divide and stop making it about Democrat and Republican. Can we make it about, you need a job, I need a job? So let's
It's
just go
not
make
just
sure folk
about
give us a
Democrat
job.
or Republican. I've
Yeah.
learned recently, in just recent years, that, a lot of our party, a lot of, the racism stuff is kind of tied to the parties too. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that it's accurate. I'm just saying there's an alignment, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I don't think people want to have these conversations openly. I
Yeah.
just don't. I mean,
They don't.
there are some of us that could have them, and we may not like what's being said. We may
Mm-hmm.
not agree with everything that's being said, but we could sit down and have the conversation in a very civil, no pun intended, uh, and non
Confrontational.
threatening
Yeah.
fashion, right?
Yeah.
We could do that and be okay with the whole idea of walking away with the understanding that we're still not going to always agree and on every single thing, every single issue or whatever, but we just want to understand each other better. But I think some people are so tied to, I mean, I have just seen so much the other day when they were showing the folks surrounding the Biden bus. Things like that are disturbing to me.
Yeah.
And I just gotta keep saying, don't come at me like that, because I'm telling you, they said don't let the smooth with a VE taste fool you. Don't come at me like that. I don't mind having the conversations, but we're gonna chill on the violence and and I don't care if you don't want to understand the difference between a protest, you know what I'm saying, and rioting, and if you don't want to admit who's doing what,
Right.
because most people are peacefully protesting stuff, right? And yeah, and y'all are just getting upset about it, whoever y'all are. But I'm really disturbed. I'm disturbed by this whole thing. This whole election thing has me disturbed. We are, forget the pandemic, just delete that from the equation. We are in 2020
Yeah.
having the conversations that your mom,
Yeah.
about stuff that your mom told you about.
Yeah.
All that stuff that you're talking about,
Yeah.
my grandma told me about it too.
Yeah.
My dad tells me stories all the time about what his dad went through for trying to vote,
Yeah.
to register to vote.
Yeah. And then I think that there's a time when you are ready to stop playing the victim. There's a time when you just want your voice heard and you just want people to accept what you say to be true because it's your feelings, it is your life. And I think that in our body politic, that we've allowed the lives of a few become the truth for the many.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have any protest in rural Tennessee. Really, there were no kenosha's, there were no protests, there were no city, there were no cops, there were no cars on fire, there was none of that in rural Tennessee. I can only speak about the areas that I know, but however, people in Tennessee were running showing those types of images. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, y'all ain't seen that. Why
Mm.
are you letting somebody blow your mind with stuff that ain't happening in Tennessee?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we become accustomed to the drama
All
and
right.
don't pay attention to the script,
Mm.
because people are writing the script and we're going to have to live with the script.
Yeah.
The drama is just all that ice and that candy, that icing over there that they have. But
Yeah.
what's the script? The
Mm-hmm.
script is our Tennessee legislature right now is suing to end the Affordable Care Act. The
Wow.
script right now is vouchers are being challenged in court. So when we get down to it, they won't bring, we have to pay attention to the script. We got to get out of the headspace of reliving all this drama and follow what people are trying and attempting to do in our state.
Yeah.
And until we come to that point and get off this drama kick, because a lot. And I'm gonna tell you what I voted for. Let me tell you why I voted for Biden and Harris.
Okay.
I want peace.
Hmm.
I just said just to have somebody in the office
Yeah.
that now he gonna do some stuff that I'm not gonna agree with. I ain't
Of
met a
course.
president. I ain't met nobody that I agree with. Not even my wonderful husband that I
One
agree with
thousand
100.
percent of the time.
Exactly. However, I believe that he will at least attempt to bring peace to the situation. And at times, you just need some quiet so
Mm-hmm.
that you can think. I'm tired of that breaking news caption at the bottom of my screen. Every time something happened, breaking news. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
every time something happened, there's a new tweet. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't, tweet if you want to, but don't make policy through your tweet.
Yeah.
I believe there needs to be debate with policy. I believe
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be a vote if a vote is required when it comes to policy. So
Mm-hmm.
civil, I voted for all the things that you talked about, but peace and calm were pretty close to the top of my list.
And I was even voting as it relates to the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I felt like, um, based on what Biden has said, that, and I know that that's for other people, that's a problem, but he
Mm-hmm.
will do those things necessary to try to, flatten the curve and get us back to some sense of normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, go ahead. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say because I want to see if I can, and I may fail at this, but I'm gonna try in a moment, in the midst of our this discussion to play this little clip
Okay.
that I'm connected with Bernice King, Dr.
Mm-hmm.
King,
Mm-hmm.
on LinkedIn, and it's a clip from her father. It's so eerily aligned to what's going on
Well, go
right
ahead.
now.
I'll wait for that.
Yeah, I want to try to share that if I can. Um, hold on,
Okay.
see if I can get it to play.
Oh, it started. It's the screen is sharing.
Awesome.
Suffice it to say that we stand in one of the most momentous periods of human history. And in these days of emotional tension, when the problems of the world are gigantic in extent and chaotic in detail, all men of goodwill must make the right decisions. And on Tuesday, 1 week from today, the people of this nation must decide whether they want America to remain true to the great words of the founding fathers. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We must decide whether those words will be firmly etched into the structure of our nation, or whether we will allow our nation to be relegated to a second-rate power in the world with no moral voice. We must decide next Tuesday whether America will take the high road of justice and peace and compassion for the poor and underprivileged, or whether this nation will tread the low road of man's inhumanity, the man of injustice, of short-sightedness. And each of us has a moral responsibility, if we are of voting age and if we are registered, to participate in that decision. I come here to urge every person under the sound of my voice to go to the polls on the 3rd of November and vote your convictions. Now, I know you're intelligent people, and I don't need to tell you who you should vote for. I don't have any fear about that. You know who to vote for. I'm just asking you to vote. Now, just if you need, very seriously, never before in the history of our nation has a candidate for the presidency taken such a negative stand on the demands of our Judeo-Christian heritage for justice and understanding, goodwill, and compassion for the poor and peace. And so all men of goodwill will go to the polls on November the 3rd. And I hope we will have a great day in our nation, so that when we wake up on the 4th of November, we will know that America has made the right decision.
What'd you think about that?
We could have played that last week. And I jotted down what really struck me. He talked about having a moral voice. He talked about justice, peace, and compassion. He talked about chaos in the detail and any emotional tension, and how we needed to make the right decision. And I looked at that. That was October, looked at the date. That was October 64.
Yeah.
And the president became Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah.
But the beauty of that was, the Voting Rights Act didn't get passed until 65.
Wow.
So, fighting for, and I do believe there was a moral situation for me as well. I believe that we strive to be a country of morals. We strive to be a country of justice. We strive to be a country of a group of people who come together to make things better. Those are all these ideas in the fluffiness of America. But getting there is always and has always been, and I'm going to use one of the words that Dr. King just used, chaotic. But can we have a governing body that can manage the chaos? That's what you need. You need a governing body that can manage because we're going to have fights, we're going to have arguments, not fist fights, but they're going to be disagreements and things like that. That's how good debate and good policies come about. People have different opinions and you come together. You give a little, I give a little. We've got to get back to that point where everybody can have an opinion and then we all come together and decide what's the best way through, versus one person having, no, this is what we're going to do. This is it right here. And that's just the way it's going to be.
But I think the moral compass, it's at an all-time low. I mean, from a leadership perspective, it's just, I mean, to me, it's an all-time low. And I just, I just call them like I see them. I mean, it's just.
But our leaders only give us what we demand. If we're not demanding morality and compassion, and if we don't demand that, once again, our elected officials are elected by the people, and if the people don't demand,
that's a Democrat talking.
I know, right?
That's a Democrat talking. I mean, I hear you. I agree with you.
But is it reality right now? You're right.
It's a mindset. I'm telling you, mindset is everything, and that's a Democrat talking. And I'm not trying to say that in the sense of like, being better than anybody else or whatever, but it's about, being logical and rational and reasonable, right? Everybody's not that. And when you have been feeling a certain way about something, but you weren't comfortable and you weren't in a comfortable or in an environment that was conducive to just, letting it all hang out and saying, hey, this is who I am. No, I don't like black people. No, I can't stand people that believe in abortion, or not, or what. And for me, I don't even like using the word. I always say, it's a woman's right with her body, and I don't believe in women just all willy-nilly going getting pregnant and then getting divorces. That's not what I believe in. I believe that there are times when abortions it's a legitimate, thing to do, if that's what you choose to do. I can't imagine being raped. Thank God, and God bless all the women that have had to go through that. But as a woman, if I were raped, I don't believe I would say, well, I just want to have this to steal my baby. Yeah. Now, I say that based on the fact that, number one, I already have children. I ain't trying to have no more. I'm just saying there are so many reasons why I can say that. And one of the main reasons why I can say it is because it hasn't happened to me. But I don't think I have a right to decide what another woman would think about it.
Well, I like to say, people want to talk about pro-choice, pro-life. I'm pro-decision. Just let women make decisions about their bodies, just like men can make decisions about their bodies. This is the one thing that I have control over, my body.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. I can't control my job. I can't control my, I have a car, but you can't, there are a lot of things you can't control. Truly, the only thing that civil has control over is her body. And so once again, it's a narrative out there. It's pro-choice, pro-life, you're for abortions. No, I'm pro-decision.
Deeply ingrained in people, when it's their beliefs or whatever, and how they see life. It's a mindset. It's just really difficult to dig in and change that. Us to talk about what our parents have gone through, what our grandparents, our great grandparents have gone through, and why it's so important for us to vote. Just to use our voice and exercise our right to vote. Some people don't get that. They just think we just make it, as you say, making a lot of noise, just being loud with it, and but that's not it. It's really something that we take pride in being able to do because we know how many people died for us to have that right.
Well, not only do I know how many people died, I know what my mama taught me about the power of my vote. So if you don't realize the power of your vote, that is the one thing that everybody can do. Everybody can't have the same job, make the same money, live in the same neighborhood, all of that. But the one thing every American over the age of 18 has that we have in common, outside of breathing and doing all that stuff, is our vote. And I understand who died and why they died, but I also understand the power. Because
Mm-hmm.
if my vote didn't have power, you wouldn't be trying to stop the count.
Oh, honey. That's
I'm
it.
just saying.
It's that little trickery stuff right there. That's why I get mad when we don't fight. When we don't fight back, taking up mailboxes and putting out fake ballot boxes and all the things and surrounding the van and which is pretty doggone bold. Some of the things that have happened are just boldness, and I don't understand how in 2020 we live in a world where it's okay. It's
Well,
okay.
I don't. Once again, it's about the mandate that we put on our leadership. You
Are
know,
you okay? The Democrat, just can you move her out of the way just for a second? I'm gonna ask a question.
go ahead. I would
Are you
try.
really pissed off that we are talking about racial equality, um, women rights, um, better education for? Are you pissed off that we are talking about those things in 2020?
Uh, yes. However, we always talk about it. It's all we when people run for office, they talk about education, jobs, and healthcare. We've always talked about it.
So that's my
And
whole point. Why? So back to my question, like that it doesn't go away. That we don't come up with some other platforms, about closing the gap, for in some other issue or instance. But why do we keep talking about this? People want to say, oh, if you cut me, you cut me. We both bleed red. I don't even care about talking about that anymore.
no,
You got sense enough to know that all blood is red. I don't care about that anymore. But when I walk into a room as a black woman, and if I could know, a lot of times I might be the most educated. I'm just going to use stuff. I might be the most educated. I might be the most qualified. I might be the most, but I always find myself, well, I don't find myself because I'm just not that person anymore. But we find ourselves in general having to prove ourselves, or in a situation where we know, regardless of who we are and what our credentials are, we will never be received as such. You know, I'm sick of it. I'm personally sick of it. And I just want the world to know I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And if one more person tells me, wow, you're really smart, I'm going to puke.
oh Lord. So
You hear
so
me?
so it's the thing when people say you're really smart or you're different
Ah,
or you know, and I get that. And let me say this: when Black women, so my name, let me tell you something. I have run away from the what my mama meant for my name to do for me.
mm-hmm,
And it was to be this woman who could, because civil is it's a heavy name because people
mm-hmm,
look at me kind of differently. And I don't want to make this about me, but they're going to use me because I know me. Okay.
mm-hmm,
And so, but as a Black woman who has to maneuver and live in America, just like what you said, I know that there are instances when I'm going to have to prove myself, when I'm going to have to shrink to make sure that others feel comfortable
mm-hmm.
being around me. When I
Oh,
know, you see what I'm saying? When I
do
know I
I?
can't show my true emotion, you can't, because you don't want anybody to say, oh, she's just a mad Black woman. So I just decided to own that. Yes, I am. Now, what we're going to do? How are you going to help me fix that? You understand what I'm saying? So I totally get it. But the race thing, I think that we grew up believing that the playing field had been leveled. And because what I realized was, we had a Black and a white homecoming court. You remember that?
Yeah, you keep bringing it. I try to forget it, but you
No,
always
I
bring it
can't.
up. Like,
I can't
Like you won't let
because
me
I can't.
forget it.
No, I'm not gonna let you forget that because, girl, that right there defined a lot for me.
hmm
That's what had to happen in order for me to be on the homecoming court.
Let me ask you this: how do you think our have you ever talked to any of our classmates about that? You know, and how they felt about it. Have you? I want to ask some of them how they felt about that because I imagine at the time it seemed like kind of normal. You know, like it was just what
It would just happen. That's
happened.
just the way it
And
was.
we were
No,
accepting of it. You know.
no, I haven't. You talking about the ones that uh, don't look like us?
Yes.
No, I have not. Because let me say this, and I'm going to say this about race. The one thing that I've learned in my 54 years, there are conversations that you just don't have because you want relationships to stand. You want relationships to last. I don't talk about race to a lot of people, with a lot of people, because I understand that in order for me to talk to you and you understand where I'm coming from, first of all, you got to know my history. How
hmm
many people really know our history? You know everybody else's history, but they don't really know our history. You know, I t- I talked to some people who didn't even know there was something called a Bolivar Industrial High School. And I'm like, where'd you think all the black kids were going?
Wow.
You know, so when you're faced with that, you know, how many do you talk about race often?
Me?
Yeah.
I have so many conversations about race.
Not on your show. Not on your show.
No,
One
no.
on one with people.
One
Huh?
on one.
Yeah.
They go something like this.
Really?
They go something like this. No, I'm serious. I want to tell you how they go. You know, we're all just people, right? Yeah, we're all just people. And you know, and like you know, we're all just people and God made us all just human beings. I said I agree, God made us all just human beings. I had this conversation not long ago. And then it was and you know, I mean just like this stuff with Trump. You know, Trump is not a racist. Now he's an idiot, but he's not a racist. So that kind of spoils it for me.
But
I mean, it's
it
going
is
good, and then
challenging.
all of a sudden they'll say something like that to me, and I'm like, if you support Trump, if you support Trump just for the money part,
Yeah.
knowing how horrible he is when it comes to racial stuff,
Yeah.
I'm just done.
But you know, so many people are one issue voters, and we
That's
have
okay with
to.
me, but this
Yeah.
time, it
But
you
black.
know,
But listen.
when we gonna stand? When we gonna
But
stand for
black.
something?
But black people tend not. Well, let me not say that. I'm not going to put it like I'm not going because we're not a monolith. Several black people I talk to are not one issue voters. They're voting to make sure they have a job, a good education. You know, so when you go down or against. And I think that when we get to talking about race, race is such a divisive thing because when you say that, you know, what I don't know, it's just divisive.
No doubt about it. But I think some
And but
people,
I would
I
love to
don't know
have
why
that
people are
conversation.
comfortable. But they are. People are comfortable talking to me about it, you know. And I think it's because, you know, I don't blow up about it. I don't, and even if they say something that
Right.
I don't necessarily care for or whatever, you know, I don't blow up about it, but I usually walk away clear on where that person stands. And what I mean by that is some people are just really confused about a lot of things, right? They think they know, they meant
Yeah.
well, and you know they meant no harm in sharing certain things. They really thought they were being, you know, profound and deep, and turns out they were just they were really being racist and didn't
Not.
even know it. Seriously, you know. And so,
Yeah.
and I don't necessarily hold that against people. You know, I often remind myself of a young boy in Chester County that I taught in the third grade. I was the only black in that school at the time, and it was coming up to parent teacher conferences, and I was that young, innovative teacher, and I thought, well, I want to do something really, special for my kids if they can get, because I wanted parental, involvement. So I was like, I'm going to do something special for my kids if they can get their parents to come out. And a little boy came up to me the day of the parent teacher conference, because they were going to get out, like go a half day. And then the rest of the day, the
Mm.
parents could come and talk to the teachers. And he just hugged me and said he was sorry that his parents wouldn't come, but his dad said he wasn't coming there to talk to no end. And the little boy,
Wow.
and he said, "But I love you so much," you know.
Oh,
Yeah, it
beautiful.
was so sweet, and so this little boy was growing up in a home where it was being taught, right? But because I spent more time with him during the day than his parents did, you know, I became like, really first mama, not second mama. Teachers become first mama during the school year, and then, and anyway, it turns out maybe the next teacher conference or something, his dad did show up. He stood out in the hallway, wouldn't come into, the classroom to talk to me or whatever. But of course, me, I went out to talk to him, and extended my hand to say hello and how you doing and all that kind of stuff. But um, literally, this parent ended up apologizing to me, and he told
That's
me how
special.
yeah, and he told me how he grew up, and thanked me for all that I had done for his little boy.
Hmm.
I mean, you don't, it just doesn't come any better than that when people have a change of heart, change of mind. I can get it if it was learned behaviors, right? But if it's learned, it can be unlearned. So, uh,
But that's the power of conversation.
no doubt.
And I'm telling you, we want things to be solved on these grand scales. Now that the election is over for me, and I have people, saying, Civil, I appreciate it. It's about conversation. Now I'm to the point. I just want to have conversations with people. I want to know why you voted the way you voted. What are you looking for in this next administration? When this next administration does whatever it does, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? What are you looking forward to the next election? I mean, it's just time to start having more conversations. We're all behind our walls, and we're your point so well about being a Democrat and looking for, as somebody said, I don't know if it was, I saw somewhere on TV, Democrats were looking for this moral victory.
Hmm.
And I think that's where I was, because even, even now, I'm still a person. I really just want to have a conversation and we get stuff done. That is truly who I am. Can we just talk about it, disagree or agree, and let's get something done?
But do
Um,
do what's best for the greater good.
Yes, and
Hmm.
that's the thing. And we have to help the least of these. We can't always be thinking about people who have, we can't think about me. They talk about the economy being bad. My family, we had to rearrange and do some different stuff, but we're still able to put food on the table. We can still put gas in the car, but there are so many people that can't do that. So
Hmm.
what are we doing for those people?
Hmm.
Those are the people who need a voice. Those are the people who need somebody up there saying, no, I understand that the middle class, if that's where I am, they're doing okay. But what
Yeah.
about the people who haven't reached that rank yet? What are
Hmm.
we doing for the poor? What are we doing for the single mother who's just trying to figure out, around here, she can't even find childcare,
Hmm.
without having to drive 30 miles. And then she can't drive because she doesn't have a car.
Hmm.
So when we think about the least of them, then we get to kitchen table issues. That's what I'm concerned about. And that, if you see, that's what I get passionate about. All this other stuff, people just throwing up roadblocks just to divide. I'm ready to get to some real conversation. I'm ready for y'all to stop calling me a radical leftist. I'm ready for the name calling and all that stuff to end. because we don't have time for that. We need to be adults and come up with solutions and pathways so that everyone can live and thrive. I'm tired.
Me
You know,
too. And
I've been
unfortunately,
praying.
you're talking about the rational thinkers and not necessarily just the Democrats, but I mean
Right.
just people in general,
Yes.
because I know Republicans that are openly Republicans that was like, but this is unacceptable,
Yeah.
right? And to me, that's a person that thinks like me in the sense that, they are voting for what's best for the greater good.
Yeah.
It's not best that the leader of our country would do and say anything, would just take to Twitter and just liable to say anything,
Yeah.
right? That's not good. I would much rather be in a place where I'm wishing, Obama would be a little more aggressive
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
to be where we are, than to
Yeah.
be where we are. As much as and proud as I was of Obama, I did not agree with every policy,
No.
every platform, I did not. But as a leader, did I trust his judgment? Absolutely, I did. Absolutely, I trusted him not to do anything that would be a detriment to me or the
Yes.
country, right?
Yes.
Did I agree with Bush and but did I believe he was doing for the most part? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you just figure as from a human nature perspective that what's going to be done may not always benefit you, but anytime they make a decision, it's not going to necessarily be for the detriment
Right.
of people.
Right.
So yeah,
That
that's where we are.
and I'm gonna stop talking my Democratic talk, but
Hmm.
I am I believe that if we don't continue to have hope,
Hmm.
then we fall into despair.
Hmm.
And the one thing we can't afford to do is to fall into despair.
Hmm.
Our children have to have someone to look to know that everything is kind of shaky right now, but
Hmm.
it's going to work out.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think that when we start, so when we think about politics, we all have this knee jerk reaction that politics is a negative thing. And I am ready for us to take politics back and let it be a constructive thing. It doesn't have to be negative, but it does need to be constructive.
Hmm.
And so constructive can mean it can be something that's, might not be the best thing for you, or it could be the best thing for you, but
Hmm.
nothing is meant to harm. We
Hmm.
almost need to take that Hippocratic oath that doctors take. We just won't do any harm.
Hmm.
Try not to do harm. Not that everybody's going to win, but
Hmm.
surely everybody shouldn't lose either.
Hmm.
So I am ready to have a constructive body politic. I'm ready for, I'm looking forward to 2022. I'm looking who's going to run and who's running next. We have to be thinking ahead. We have to have a plan forward.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. People have been calling me, "How you doing, Civil?" I am fine. I'm disappointed. Um, However, I know that we have to take decisions that are made and then make them work for the greater good.
Hmm.
So I'm excited. I'm excited about Joe Biden being president. I'm excited
Where are
about
those
the
numbers now? I wish I knew. I
oh,
don't know if I'm even
I've been
live
looking
on
at it. They
Facebook now. I hope I'm
uh
still there.
Arizona is still too early to call.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking at right now. But I've been kind of looking over there.
Okay.
Uh, but when we wake up in the morning, and if there'll be one state probably that's not called Pennsylvania, I think that's the one, right? That we won't know until later.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
know that much later because they're suing on that one.
yeah. Then there's all of that. Uh, but I think that with all of that being said, the fact that this is such a close election speaks to America and the state of America.
What's next,
Um,
Civil, in your head? What's next? I'm I'm a realist, and I don't say that like I know, I can call it and say, what's going to happen. But and when I say I have a fear of what could happen,
Yeah.
um I just try to make it clear that that doesn't mean I'm sitting somewhere shaking in my boots,
Mm-hmm.
scared. No, I don't mean like that. I just hate to see where this country may go, regardless. Like, my dad said it best, and I wouldn't even try to do it any justice and repeat it, but just in the gist of it was, um, if we get 4 more years of Trump, it won't stop at 4. We will go into dictatorship. And if Biden wins, the hatred and the violence and all the stuff that's going to come out as a result of the win, you know, we have to prepare ourselves for, I guess more or less hoping it doesn't happen, but knowing it's a really, really good chance that it can. I've heard some people across party lines say, oh, that's just the media. But I can't necessarily tell.
Well, you can look at your Facebook page, follow
Really?
your Twitter, follow your
Yes.
Twitter. Yeah, and see, that's not media. That's people
In
that really,
general.
yes, there's people in general. So when we think about what's going to happen next, I do believe in the power of prayer, but I also believe that we need to be prepared and we need to walk into things with our eyes wide open.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I'm going to pray for peace. And that January 20th or whatever, is it the 20th or the 21st when the inauguration happens, one of those days,
Mm-hmm.
that it is a peaceful transfer. And we can be about the business of what Vice President Biden says, healing our nation. And it took us, it wasn't 4 years to get us here. All this stuff that happened was under the surface, and it's been under the surface forever. We just had someone who helped lift off the blanket and we were able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that the current occupant caused any of it. I say that he revealed a lot.
Mm.
Um, but now that it has been revealed and everybody feels the need to express themselves,
Mm-hmm.
I do pray that we can begin the process of coming back together. But what next is, we have to have our eyes wide open and realize that even though we pray, we have to be vigilant. We don't. Charles was a cop. I don't have. So all that preparation stuff, I got that. I
Yeah.
understand all that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more than that. I keep saying we've just got to demand more of the people we elected. My vote didn't end when I cast it yesterday. My vote came with some conditions,
We're
and
going
my
to make you a
condition.
Republican. We're making you a Republican. I vow, I declare to make her, cause this stuff ain't working for me.
We're going to have to switch
Okay,
parties.
I'm playing. You know I'm being silly. You know I'm being silly.
But I get that. And there is this feeling of, okay, what do we do? What we do is we have to either we're
Where's
gonna have to
my
do.
cousin Ronnie Jordan and Donnie Jordan? Where the twins at? Because y'all need to tell her how to be. Come on, help her.
They need to help me. They need to help me. I need to help. But I don't know. But in all, I'm
Okay,
really listening to you.
I'm gonna stop.
I'm really listening to you. You don't know now. My head. I got all kind of things going on through my mind now. But what I do know is that there's this movie called The American President,
Mm-hmm.
and one line in there says, these are serious times,
Mm-hmm.
and we need serious people. So
Mm-hmm.
it's time for us to be serious about our lives, our state, and our country. And it's time for us to get involved
Mm-hmm.
and not allow people to dictate to us how things should go without us having a say in it. Because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, my vote comes with with a condition.
Mm-hmm.
That, and that condition is that, we must have peace. We're gonna have to solve some stuff for the least of these. We're gonna have to,
Mm-hmm.
all those things that we talked about. And the
Mm-hmm.
only way to make that happen is if I hold everybody accountable. So now
Mm-hmm.
everybody that was elected in office, oh, I'm following you. I'm gonna see
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. Oh, do something. Okay, why'd you do that? Why'd you vote that way? Well, I
Mm-hmm.
think we should do this. So it is time to be an active participant with my vote,
Yeah.
and not just drop it off on November the 3rd and say, oh, well, I tried.
Mm.
And then look forward to 2022. We got work to do.
We do.
We need some candidates who can speak to whatever the issues are we need spoken to.
Yeah,
Because
well, y'all, I got that. I'm gonna back y'all up on that. I will not be anybody's candidate. Y'all heard it here.
really, we can't get you to run for something.
No, ma'am.
But let me ask you, what do you believe should be next? What needs to happen next?
What needs to happen next is there needs to be an acceptance of the win.
Yeah.
There needs to be a peaceful transfer of quote unquote power, in the
Mm-hmm.
leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And then what needs to happen is when Biden and Kamala Harris are in the White House, the Senate don't need to start all that foolishness and foolery that they did with Obama. You can't get this passed. You can't get, that's their way of making it appear that the Democratic Party, can't get anything done, because you can't get it past this particular branch of government, right? And so that's why we don't. So what needs to happen is there needs to be a coming together. But let me say this: if that doesn't happen, and if it's polar opposite of what I'm saying, what needs to happen is folks that look like you and I need to stand up, be prepared, because I don't plan for anything to happen to my children, my grandchildren, or me. I'm just trying to let folks know. I'm a good shot, y'all. Don't mess with my folks. Girl, you can laugh all you want. I promise you, I'm so glad I can say this publicly. Don't come for me and don't come for mine, because I ain't going for bad or anything, but I'm not just turning the other cheek. I'm just not. That's not where my headspace is. That's not even really, even though I had two wonderful grandmothers in my life, that's not even how I was raised. I was really raised that, you went to school and got in a fight. When you got home, you had to be able to say, you fall back, and if you had one of the siblings better have helped, and
You see,
you understand what I'm saying?
if
So
your brother
we ain't
if your
even
brother came home if your brother came home with a scratch, you better be bloody too.
You better be too.
That's
So
it.
we're in a whole different, and God knows I don't want anything like that to happen. But I'm just being honest with folks. We need to come together and talk, and like you said, have these conversations, because folks ain't just sitting around going through that no more. Just not gonna happen. I
Yeah,
don't care how bold you think, you feeling because of the leader that we have in the White House. Folks ain't just doing that. That ain't how it's happening.
I
We ain't
agree.
rolling like that. And we got great Democrats like Civil Miller Watkins, but it just ain't happening like that. They kind people. They talk to you real kind. But when it comes down to it, it ain't happening like that. I'm telling y'all now.
Uh, well,
Seriously.
but there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who definitely are saying what you're saying. I mean, and there does come a time when you are that Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
So
But I really do think I'm what needs to happen is let's just accept who's won this race, and let's move on in America. Let's try to get back to some sense of normalcy. God only knows how long that's going to take. Even if we, Trump were to win, and he were to do the right thing about this pandemic, it would probably still take some time. You know what I'm saying, for us to get to a point where there's not loss of life as a result of this virus. So I'm ready to get back to some sense of normalcy. I want to see my kids, my grandkids play outside, and me not be concerned about them. I want to know that when my son leaves my house going to his place, you know, I just as a regular mama just want you to let me know you made it, but not because I'm scared you're gonna get stopped between here and there and somebody's gonna, racially profile you and do something crazy,
That's now that right there. Just have that talk and have that conversation. James Baldwin. He wrote. To be black in America and woke is to just be in this constant. It's a constant battle, wondering how your people gonna be and how
Constant.
they. It's constant.
It's
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 constant.
mentally draining, and I
Exhausting.
wish that some people that didn't have to go through it would just try to imagine waking up every day, dealing with the regular life stressors,
Yep.
and then adding to that the worry
Yep.
of your children because of crazy things like that. And there are some people that have tried to imagine it and say that it's just, unimaginable, and they get it and they want us to come together, but obviously they don't want us to come together because half of the world says they don't want us to come together that bad, because half of the world either that or um well, look, we need to go. But
Okay.
I'm back to the Hispanic males and the African American males. Could they be so against female um,
Ooh,
leaders
ooh.
that they would take I hate saying this word, but this is how I'm just going to be realist, the slave mentality of, really?
You know, that is very hard for me. I just that is very hard for me to even wrap my head around in
Yeah,
2020.
yeah,
I mean, I don't even the reason that if you study history, the reason that black people really made it is because of the black woman. We took, they
mhm,
didn't let us have flour. We had meals, so we learned how to do cornbread. We couldn't get the
right.
turnip, the actual turnip. We got the greens of the turnip, so we started having greens. They didn't give us the best cut of the pig, so we started eating the snout and the tail.
And the
So
chitlins.
getting the chitlins. You see what I'm saying? So there's a reason we eat the way that we eat, and
Uh-huh.
and there's a reason that we live and we protect our people the way that we protect our people as black women. And then when you think about that, what you just said, I'm not, girl. I'm like, I just, I don't know why they would vote that way. I would hope that it was not because there was a black woman on the ticket.
I think I had one on my Facebook Live that came on. I want to say he was the one as soon as I came on with the title that had the laughing emoji. And if you're still there, I would love to know, because you came on one of my posts earlier today, and I don't know his name, but obviously he's a Trump supporter, and I would just love to know, like, why, and not to put him down, but just wondering why, like, where does it come from?
And that's the thing. I want to know why. I want to know why everybody voted. I want to know why everybody voted however they voted.
Let's
If
see.
you
Hey,
vote for Biden,
La Rosa Park said 253 Biden, 213 Trump. Biden projected winner in Arizona and Nevada, but have not been called.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like, and that's when you have those exit polls. But I've never been polled. Nobody's ever asked me, why'd you vote the way that you vote? And I think that when we begin to have those type of polls within our community, and even in rural Tennessee, because you'll get those polls in larger cities, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't get those polls in our smaller rural areas. And if we have those, perhaps we would see why our neighbors voted Republican, and then why our other neighbors voted Democrat. And then we could see, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's why. Now I get it. I understand. And so we don't have to put people
I
in
would
these
love
big old
that still.
buckets.
I would love to have those conversations. Now there is a part of me that believes that the majority, or at least a really great percentage of the people that vote the other way just do, right?
Yeah, it's
Um,
just a Republican thing.
it's a
Yeah.
Republican
I'm
thing.
just a Republican, so I vote
Uh-huh.
Republican. Right.
Uh-huh. And then I think that there's a good majority of people that are like, the haters, right? The ones that just don't like you said, don't like Democrats, don't like
Right.
people of color, you know. And then there's the other category. And I don't know, I'm not sure. There may be several categories because, you have people that are being paid very well. Um, you know, like today, I would imagine when they were saying, "Oh, we have this young man." This was on Fox News. We have this young man came along with them when they were talking about suing the lawsuit in Pennsylvania. He came. He was one of the poll watchers, and he came over here with us. Now, really, he came over here with you because you probably gave him a few dollars, right? And
It's possible,
when you
yeah.
talking to a little young boy, right? And you tell him, "Hey, we'll give you $2,000 if you come over here and stand with us, because we're gonna just say, we're gonna just say you were trying to watch and they wouldn't let you see. They put you behind the fence or something." They said, it was just crazy stuff, and I'm like, who in the heck talking about fraud? Who?
Yeah, yeah. What we do know is a lot that we see on some news shows
Well,
is
no doubt.
staged. It's staged and
No doubt,
and
but I ain't gonna lie. This is the first time I ever put my TV on it. And one thing I will say to Fox, and thank you guys so much. Y'all have had Biden way ahead of CNN and MSNBC all since this election results have been coming out.
and they really, I don't turn on to the
He's
channels at
always,
all.
oh honey, he is at 264 on Fox and 253 on CNN and
Oh, it's
MSNBC.
all different.
Yeah, it's well, CNN and MSNBC are the same,
Oh, okay.
but he's always ahead in numbers
Oh, I see.
on Fox. I love it. And then here's what happens. And then a few hours later, CNN and MSNBC's numbers catch up to Fox's. So
Oh,
it's as if Fox will call it before they do.
mhm.
I say, good job, Fox.
Good job. Good job.
Good
Good
job.
job. Hancock. Good job. Good job. But I think that well, when it's all said and done, I just want a peaceful transfer. And then I want Tennessee. I want Tennessee to there's
Do
Tennessee just
better.
need yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Gotta
ain't
do
gonna have
better.
it happen. I ain't gonna have it. Not I don't believe now I say that, but I say I feel like maybe in our lifetime we won't necessarily see that. But I used to say when my kids were teenagers, the children that I saw come to my house and the children's houses that they went to and what I saw in the mixture of races and ethnicities and all that, I used to say to them, I said, you know what? By the time y'all get my age, it's not going to be a racial divide. It's going to probably be like a socio-economic
Yeah.
divide or something like that. Was I wrong?
Say it twice. Me too,
I
because
was
they had so
wrong with
many
that.
different friends, even in college. A
Yeah.
lot of different people. But when it's all said and done,
And I don't really those kids that my kids hung out with and the kids that hung out with them, I don't think they were thinking like that at
mm-mm,
all, right? From what I could tell.
mm-mm.
But as you get older and certain things start to matter more and you start to looking at life differently and you start voting on issues and you start chances are they're going to think like they're going to be thinking like their parents. Cuz see the thing about me is I may be a Democrat. I'm
Mhm.
not a racist. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, yeah, I do vote for equality and health care and good education and all. I'm not a racist. I don't have a problem with somebody because of their skin color. I don't have a problem with you because you are a Republican.
Right.
I literally have friends they're
Mhm.
Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't always, necessarily agree on certain. And some of those friends of mine that are Republicans voted for Obama. Well, they say they did.
That's what they say.
They say they did. You know how the old folks say you don't know what happened behind that curtain, but
Behind that curtain, girl, we dating ourselves. There used to be a curtain, people. When you pulled the thing, there was a curtain. It closed you up. Just in case you don't know about that. We
Oh,
dating ourselves now. But but um but here's the thing. I think we all have friends. I have various friends. And, they're Republican and they're, and
yeah.
they're all of that. And you can have certain conversations with them. But I found that during this time of election, a lot of them have beliefs and they share memes and make comments that I'm like,
Well, you found that out when Obama won. You didn't just find it out during this
no,
time.
I didn't. But you know what? I didn't do Facebook like that during Obama. I
Oh, that's
mean,
the only reason why you just found out then. I
yes.
found out. No, I'm so serious now. I found out during the Obama win, and I particularly found out. I wish I could call her name, but I can't do that to her. I particularly found out during the second Obama win.
Mm-hmm.
The second Obama win ticked some folks off to the
Mm-hmm.
degree that we would be ticked off if Trump won again.
Mm-hmm.
And they were
Yeah.
very, very transparent, on Facebook. And I was like, okay, alrighty then. Like, and one of those people, I actually gave well, I won't say that. I did something very good for one of those people. You know what I'm saying? That
Mm-hmm.
in our lifetime, that we had a relationship that I never would have known, never would have known.
Yeah.
But because if you call a black man or a black woman things like a monkey, or that's pretty transparent.
Yes, it is.
Hmm.
There is no doubt.
She said, yes, it is.
There is no doubt.
So yeah, yeah. So the only reason why you didn't know then
Yeah.
is because of not being on social media,
Yeah.
because
I
that's
wasn't
when it
connected like
really
that.
started to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason why I quoted what Mitch McConnell said about he's going to try to make sure that there isn't but one Obama president, meaning you know um, what he stands for. Because see, of course, Biden was Obama's vice president, so he figures he'll be running on those, leading on those same platforms and what have you. So with them having control of the Senate, they can kind of, try to put a damper
Yeah.
on everything that he tries to do. So honestly, I was hoping that we would get control of the Senate, because I don't know how much good it'll do us for him to other than the fact that he is the leader of this country, and he's not gonna just right send us to war or unnecessarily, or what I'm saying, certain
Yeah.
things we can rely on him not to do, but for the most part, you know
Legislatively, probably not many of the things that the Biden Harris administration wants to happen will be able
wanted
to
to do.
happen. Yeah,
Absolutely,
what they
that's what I'm
wanted to do,
getting
it
at.
won't happen. It
Uh-huh.
won't happen because number one, they can't give them a win,
Mm-hmm.
and number two, he's already said what he's going to do. So one thing we've got to learn to do is take people at their word.
What you
And when they and then Maya Angelou, when they show you who they are, just go on and believe them, and we
Mm-hmm.
can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Lord have mercy. I'm gonna go find me some blood pressure pills. Y'all, yeah,
Let me say this
we gonna get
after.
through it.
Yeah, but I would I can't wait for your discussion around the actual inauguration and all the things that happened leading up to that. I think that that's going to be between now, when we know that Biden will be president, until he's inaugurated. I think, you know, we just need to be vigilant.
Okay, because and we need, like, basically you saying we got to see it happen.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll be talking to you, because you'll have to come back and we'll have to talk about it all the way. But oh my God, I just honestly I have no idea. I have no clue what we're about to.
And I
Like
think
I
all
said, I
of
don't
us
even
feel
want to
that
try
way.
and call it. I just want to say to people, be careful, you know, once they do make a call, because as I said earlier in our discussion, Biden's path to a win isn't necessarily through Pennsylvania. So while they're suing,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm slow. I'm a little slow, so you can probably help me out. And I'm not being sarcastic. I am a little slow when it comes to politics because politics is not my thing. Like, why are we even suing on a state that number one hadn't they haven't finished? They haven't said they finished the count. But number two, the man is in lead. Why
Well,
would you sue and you're in lead? You don't want to count the rest because you know if you count the rest, you won't be in lead. What am I missing here?
there is no rhyme or
Is it
reason. I
what
don't think.
Michael Steele said about throwing the spaghetti against the wall and hoping it sticks? Is that it?
Yes, that's
Oh,
what I believe. That
okay.
now that's just civil. That's what I believe. I think that anything to cause distraction.
Oh,
It's
I
and
get that.
it's all about distraction
Hmm.
and look at this shiny thing over here while I'm doing this over there. So I dare say we'll see some new stuff happening as a result of today, and it happened today while we were all concentrating on the lawsuits.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
mean, did Trump ever take the lead? I don't remember.
And the whole, I think last night when I went to sleep, he was
Okay.
it was he was had some promise. They hadn't called all those other states. I believe at one point in time, because that's what they call the red mirage.
Yeah.
You would think that he was winning, but you had to wait for all these other states to
No
be
doubt. No
called.
doubt. And that's actually what happened when he won
Yeah.
in 2016. You know,
Yeah.
you thought Hillary was, on the path to
Mhm.
winning, and then it was like you woke up. That's why I was scared to go to sleep. I was like,
You ain't by yourself.
I'm gonna take some flight, stay up because you go to sleep on these things. They'll mess you up.
They'll mess. You wake up like, oh, what happened when I went to sleep? This was going on. Yeah. So I think that I think that Democrats are going to have to do some regrouping
Hmm.
and come out
And
and
what does it? I mean, because to me, like they were like, Democrats are gonna have to learn how to have different kind of conversations. Democrats are gonna have to, Now I know we're a little nice. I told you about that. We're a little nice, but
guilty.
yeah. But what else? What we doing? Well, and I'm not saying we're not doing anything wrong. What are we doing wrong? Because I'm thinking most of this is about, demographics and where they are and where they're running, right? And if you're running in a red state, uh,
Yeah, but here's the thing. Most red we call them red states. They're actually voter suppressed states. Because
I think I heard you say that before, and that is a very good point.
yeah. You have returning citizens or felons who can't get their right to vote back because of child support.
Hmm.
That's a poll tax. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. You have the excuses that we have to have an absentee ballot. You should just be able to get one.
Hmm.
And then you have the ID. So my son, and I'll give you this quick story. My son wanted to vote, and so he's 18, but he hadn't gotten his driver's license yet, so he needed an ID. He's at UT Martin, where they went to Union City to try to get his ID.
Hmm.
That DMV is closed. He had to drive to Trenton. So I didn't even realize that they had closed so many DMVs. Even the one in
Hmm.
Bolivar is closed. Those people go to Oakland or
Hmm.
somewhere else. And I was like, I thought I got didn't you get your driver's license in Bolivar?
I did, and my children got theirs in Whitefield, honey. That's the look. Look, I got it. When my children got their driver's license, they could pull out in the road with their eyes closed. There wasn't nobody in the road.
See, I'm just saying. So now, and so there are all these barriers to even getting the ID because now you got to
Yeah,
got to get somewhere.
yeah.
But I think that, well, one challenge that I am beginning to focus on is Democrats don't organize rural Tennessee.
Mm.
Our cities, Nashville, Memphis, they organize and they have whole, game plans and stuff. And then getting more people registered to vote. You have to expand the electorate and then educate people and then organize where you are. Because even
Educate
Obama said,
people.
don't
Educate
agonize,
people.
organize.
Yes, educate people and
We got to educate.
community mobilize. We are not mobilizing our communities, right?
Yeah.
We got to do better.
Mama used to always say how Mama would do races was she had neighborhood captains, and one person was in charge of their neighborhood or their precinct, or
I
you have to have
get it.
community organizers.
That's mobilization.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's something for you to do while you wait to run again.
And you are amazing because that is my plan.
I'm very
uh,
serious.
I'm very serious
Hmm.
about learning how to organize rural areas, because
Hmm.
that's one place that quite honestly, Democrats, in my mind, have kind of left on the table, and that's something that we definitely need to do.
I definitely feel like, you and I both, and many others, right? Um, we should, that those are the types of things that we should be doing.
Yeah.
We talk all this talk, man, all of us, you know what I'm saying? We got great ideas, but ain't
Yes.
nobody implementing nothing. And we got to stop. We got to do better.
Well, I am that I was people been calling me, well, Civil, with making sure I'm okay, and I appreciate the love, because people know I'm all about love, hugs, and kisses.
Hmm.
That's just
Hmm.
my attitude and my personality.
Yeah.
But everybody's asking, what am I going to do next? And that's what I'm doing next. I'm going to lead or be a part, find somebody to lead,
Hmm.
organizing rural Tennessee.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. My prayers out to Mr. Leon Gray. He had death in the family and could not
Oh,
be here
bless.
today, and that happened like right before the show started today. So prayers to him and his
Yes.
family, and thanks to all of you guys that came on and listened in. I thank you so much. And hopefully we will get some results very, very soon. And, of course, we will have to watch everything else play out. But in the meantime, we can just enjoy the whole idea that we're moving in a different direction in our country. You guys stay safe, not just from the pandemic, but period. Be safe. Use your heads and try to stay calm. I can only imagine what types of things may begin to happen. But thankfully, I've not encountered anyone or anything. Not that I'm going a whole lot of places, but hopefully that's not what we're gonna see. We're just gonna be able to move forward peacefully. Thank you, Mrs. Watkins, for coming on and having this chat today. I really appreciate you. And again, I'll forever say I'm proud of you, and what you've done and all that you continue to do. Many others, just a shout out to Miss Andrea Bond Johnson. What a race. I am very proud of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And support and encouragement go a long way. So
Yeah.
it's appreciated.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.